Lakers fans, what just happened in Los Angeles could change everything, and if you blink, you might miss the moment this franchise shifts from chasing one more title to preparing for a completely different future. Before we get into it, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and drop your early prediction in the comments, because this is the kind of Lakers story that deserves a real conversation, not a lazy headline. Something unusual has been confirmed around this team, and the reason it matters so much is because it is not just one piece of news sitting on its own. It connects injuries, playoff pressure, front office decisions, and the futures of the two biggest names tied to this franchise right now, LeBron James and Luka Doncic. The deeper you look, the clearer it becomes that this is not just about one playoff series. This is about direction. This is about identity. This is about whether the Lakers are still trying to squeeze one more championship run out of the LeBron era, or whether the organization is already quietly pivoting toward the next chapter. Fans were already locked in on the postseason, watching every injury report, every quote from the coaching staff. But now the conversation has changed. Now it feels like every possession, every medical decision, and every rotation move carries consequences beyond a single round. Let's start with the headline that sent a jolt through the fan base. Luka Doncic is back in Los Angeles after traveling to Spain for advanced treatment, including platelet-rich plasma therapy and stem cell work. On paper, that sounds aggressive, urgent, and maybe even hopeful. In reality, it opens the door to a question that nobody around this team can answer with certainty yet. Will it be enough to get Luka back on the floor in time to change this series? That is the mystery hanging over everything, because if the answer is yes, the entire outlook changes. If the answer is no, the Lakers are staring at a brutal challenge that could expose every weakness in this roster all at once. And it is not just Luka. Austin Reaves is also expected to miss the beginning of the series, which creates a huge problem for a team that depends on shot creation, ball handling, and secondary playmaking to survive against elite defenses. Suddenly, a team that looked dangerous in the West is walking into a matchup with two of its most important offensive engines either unavailable or uncertain. That is not a small adjustment. That is a complete change in personality. Without Luka and Reaves, everything swings back toward LeBron James. And yes, LeBron is still brilliant. He is still one of the smartest basketball players alive. He can still control tempo, manipulate coverages, and bend a defense just by reading one weak foot placement. But the reality nobody can ignore is that he is 41 years old and being asked once again to carry an enormous share of the burden for one of the league's most scrutinized teams. That is where the emotional weight of this moment hits. Now add the opponent. Houston is not the kind of team you want to face when you are shorthanded and trying to survive on execution alone. The Rockets defend hard, play with physical edge, and attack the glass like every rebound belongs to them by right. They are young, athletic, aggressive, and relentless. Against that kind of team, missing creators is not just inconvenient, it is dangerous. Because when you lose offensive control, you do not just lose points. You lose structure. You lose pace. You lose your ability to keep a physical team from turning the game into a series of chaotic extra possessions. That is why J.J. Redick's message has been so revealing. He has not dressed this up in complicated language. He has not tried to sell some magic adjustment. He has been direct. Ball control and rebounding will decide this series. That sounds simple, but in playoff basketball, simple does not mean easy. It means foundational. It means non-negotiable. If the Lakers cough up the ball and allow Houston to feast on offensive rebounds, the math gets ugly fast. More possessions for the Rockets means more pressure on a depleted Lakers offense and more opportunities for Houston to wear them down physically over the course of the game. And that is what makes this so fascinating. The key to survival is obvious, but the ability to execute it is deeply uncertain. Without Luka and Reaves, the Lakers lose calm under pressure, lose one-on-one creation, and lose some of the decision-making that helps stabilize ugly stretches. That means LeBron has to orchestrate even more. That means the supporting cast has to make faster reads and cleaner plays. That means every loose rebound becomes a stress test of discipline and toughness. This is not about highlight plays. This is about whether the Lakers can handle the ugly parts of playoff basketball well enough to keep themselves alive. There is also a psychological layer here that matters. When a team knows it is missing major weapons, the margin for error shrinks immediately. Players start feeling that every turnover hurts a little more. Every missed box out becomes louder. Every cold shooting stretch feels heavier. And against a hungry, physical opponent, that pressure can snowball fast. The Lakers do have veterans. They do have championship experience. They do have a player in LeBron who has seen every playoff scenario imaginable. But experience does not erase fatigue, and intelligence does not automatically solve a talent deficit. At some point, somebody other than LeBron has to step into the fire and produce. This is the kind of series where defenders have to make hustle look contagious, where wings have to crash the glass like their job depends on it, where spot-up shooters have to hit the open looks that stars usually create. The Lakers do not need one surprise performance. They probably need several. They need composure from the guards, physicality from the forwards, and rim protection that can survive second-chance waves. They need every rotation piece to understand that a series like this can swing on details that barely show up in the box score. And before we go deeper, take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments whether you believe this group can grind out wins without health, because this is where real Lakers debates begin. Not with fantasy, not with nostalgia, with pressure, with consequences, with basketball that exposes exactly who you are. Now here is where the story gets even bigger than the series itself, because what is happening on the court may end up accelerating decisions that were already forming behind the scenes. The roster could look very different after the season, and the biggest reason is simple. LeBron James is approaching a point where every year has to be evaluated not emotionally, but strategically. If the Lakers fall short, and especially if they fall short in a way that makes the roster's flaws impossible to deny, the questions around LeBron's future become impossible to avoid. Can he still help a contender? Yes. Can he still produce at a high level? Yes. But can a franchise keep building around a 41-year-old star on a massive salary while also trying to prepare for the future? That is where things get complicated. Front offices do not just think about greatness. They think about timelines, flexibility, trade value, cap structure, and windows. And when a team sits between eras, every major decision becomes a balancing act. That is why Luka matters so much beyond the obvious. He is not just a star returning from injury. He represents the franchise's long-term gravity. When you have a player like that, the conversation changes from how do we maximize the final stretch of LeBron's prime to how do we build a machine that belongs to Luka for the next several years. That does not mean the Lakers are pushing LeBron aside. It means the center of the future is becoming more visible. Then there is Austin Reaves, whose situation matters more than casual fans realize. Reaves has become one of those connective players every good team needs. He scores, creates, competes, and brings a kind of fearless rhythm that helps the stars breathe. When he is unavailable, the Lakers lose not just production, but flow. They lose one of the bridges between their top-end talent and the rest of the offense. Keeping players like that matters. But in the NBA, wanting to keep someone and being able to do it cleanly are two different things. So when you line all of this up together, the picture is intense. Luka is recovering and trying to beat the clock. Reaves is sidelined at the start. LeBron is staring down another moment where the franchise leans heavily on him. Redick is demanding a style of basketball built on discipline, rebounding, and survival. Houston is built to punish mistakes. And hanging over all of it is the possibility that these playoffs are not simply a battle for advancement. They are an audit of the roster, an audit of the coaching, an audit of the team's emotional resilience, an audit of what must change if the Lakers are serious about the next stage of contention. This is why every fan should be paying close attention now. Sometimes the biggest turning points are quiet. A missed rebound here, a tired fourth quarter there, a medical gamble that does or does not work, a role player who proves he belongs, a star who looks human for the first time in a while. These are the moments that shape front office thinking. The postseason is not only about wins and losses. It is about information, and the Lakers are about to learn a lot about themselves quickly. There is also something emotionally raw about the idea that fans may be watching the final stages of one era while the next one tries to emerge at the same time. Lakers history is built on glamorous transitions, but living through one in real time is messy. It creates tension between loyalty to the past and excitement about the future. LeBron still commands respect because he earned it across 2 decades of greatness. Luka generates anticipation because he represents what could come next. So what has to happen for the Lakers to survive this and maybe even turn it into something inspiring? First, they have to protect the ball like their season depends on it, because it probably does. Second, they have to gang rebound with absolute commitment, because giving Houston extra chances is basically surrender. Third, they need LeBron to control the emotional temperature of the team, not just the offense. Fourth, they need unexpected help, not a nice little cameo. Real help, big minutes, tough rebounds, timely shots, and defensive possessions that stop momentum. And fifth, they need belief without panic, because panic is exactly what a young physical opponent wants to smell. If they can do those things, then yes, this series can still become a story about resilience, adjustments, and the strange power of playoff basketball to create heroes nobody expected. But if they cannot, then the consequences will stretch far beyond one matchup. The offseason conversation will turn ruthless. The LeBron questions will grow louder. The roster debates will get sharper. The urgency around building properly around Luka will intensify. And the Lakers will be forced to look in the mirror and decide whether they are clinging to a name or committing to a future. That is why this moment feels different. This is not just injury drama. This is not just playoff theater. This is a pressure point for the entire organization. The decisions being made now, from medical choices to lineup trust to long-term planning, are connected, and fans can feel it. You can feel when a franchise is standing at the edge of a shift. You can feel when a playoff series becomes a referendum. You can feel when the noise around a team is a signal that deeper change is coming. So as this all unfolds, remember what you are really watching. You are not only watching a battle between the Lakers and a dangerous Houston team. You are watching the tension between present and future. You are watching LeBron try to carry relevance and expectation on aging shoulders. You are watching Luka's recovery become symbolic of what comes next. You are watching role players audition for trust. You are watching a coach demand basics because basics win when talent is compromised. If you made it this far, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and comment with your full take, because this is exactly the kind of Lakers story that divides a fan base and exposes what people really believe about this team. Do you think the Lakers can survive this chaos, steal momentum, and remind the league never to count them out? Or are we looking at the beginning of a major roster overhaul and the true end of the LeBron era in Los Angeles?